To use the American phrase, we all feel your pain. Do you know, that's a really interesting point, though, and I'm not sure how we're going to do this because I want to make this kind of quick fire round, so we'll have to throw the microphone, so that could get quite exciting. Gemma, just duck if it heads towards you, it's bloody heavy. So do you think the language, because you've just said that, so do you think the language that science uses is completely different to the language that art uses? I'm going to start with you, Nicola.
Yeah, I'm just going to feel my own pain because I'm one who pays out very slowly as a university. I'm so sorry on our behalf. Thank God. Yeah, the language is really different, and the language about innovation is radically different, which is something that we look for in the stuff that we're funding. The language about sort of how established you are and how confident you are is really different. So we found that a lot of what we've been doing is encouraging creative people to be confident about what they're presenting, because we get applications who are very technical and people who are very creative. And quite often our sort of more techie IT background people are quite confident in stating what a marvelous, fantastic thing they're doing. And our creative applicants are quite apologetic almost for extraordinary work that they've done. So there's a confidence thing. There's also just totally different kind of language about just expressing your work and what an output is and what a project plan looks like and how you budget for your projects. And again, the kind of artists underpaying themselves, the most common bit of feedback we give people on their budgets is, could you please pay yourself more? Like, I cannot tell you how many times I've written quite detailed feedback for people, including, please, could you pay yourself more? That is not a livable rate. That will not be a realistic project. So I think those are some of the ways. I am sure that, presumably I'm passing on, yes? Yeah. There will be others, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think even just today, I was asking what we all mean by open call as a concept. So I think just even things that you think are quite simple terms of language, you know, if you're moving from you know, sphere to sphere or whatever you want to say, just be aware that people use language differently. Like, I mean, I'm in science communication by background, and so I like to think that I'm always thinking that, but you just never know what people are going to be using the language and how they're going to be doing it. But yeah, I think it's really important just to be aware of the differences.
Doing this, whoops, hang on. I've got to re-screw it slightly. It's got a bit loose on the bottom. You should never leave me with anything technical. You should know that. Honestly, it's ridiculous. So so Michael, you said that you've got your open call and all the rest of it going out. Do you ever use anything like networking opportunities?
In the world of science communication, public engagement, and in the physics world, yes. In the creative world, less often. But as we are kind of starting to reach out more and build up these links, then that's going to be something that we're going to be focusing on trying to do, because word of mouth is obviously a big part of it. So we've had a number of creatives be funded by a scheme in the last maybe year and a half that have been paired up with physicists from our membership and have put together projects in conjunction with physicists from our membership that for application to the funding scheme. So now they're in touch, and so not just me as the kind of administrator of the funding scheme, but our actual physicist members are now pals with these you know, sculptors and trapeze artists and people that are actually they're working together on projects with. So the networking opportunities are going beyond just the public engagement staff and actually extending to the physicists themselves, which is really nice. I tried to get a professor of gravitational wave astronomy to actually go on the trapeze that he the show that he assisted with the physics of, but he didn't want to do it. But that's kind of my dream, to really get them working together that closely. Yeah.
Well, that would be very close, actually, at some height.
Yeah.
I would imagine. I'm assuming that he already knows how gravity works, so that's
not in practical senses, though, probably no.
Gemma, just very quickly, because you're in the community, or you should be. You're aiming to work more in the community. So, do you see yourself doing more networking events, or?
Yeah, I was just thinking probably the most exciting setting we had was on that barge boat that goes out to Wester Hales. We once ran an event on there, which No, you can sort of hire it out for events. No, I can't remember the name. The Union is one of the Union Canal boats. Yeah. Anyway, side note, but yeah. So probably our biggest sort of networking effort is around this series of events called the Green Teas, which I was telling you about earlier. It's meant to tickle your fancy, and that is really aiming to build links between artists and people working in different areas related to sustainability and climate change. So we have a rolling open call for those events for anyone who's interested in designing an event with us, and we can maybe help to bring in other relevant partners or help on the more practical or promotional side. It really depends what's needed there, and there's a small budget attached to that as well to cover fees for speakers and people organising. So that, yeah, I guess that's a sort of ongoing series, and it takes lots of different topics and forms. So the barge boat event was about how artists could be involved in sort of designing and making sure our green spaces were sort of helping to adapt to climate change and thinking about the role of our green spaces in building a more sustainable city. But yeah, they take lots of different forms, but that's our kind of main forum, if you like, for people to meet and collaborate. And that's how I met Jonathan as well.
First of all, can I just say, I think the title Green Teas is absolutely incredible and really amazing. And do you get much, I mean, how do people find out about it for a start?
So, well, I guess through events like this, we have a sort of mailing list specifically for that program. So if you're interested, I'd encourage you to just go onto our website. We've got a web page dedicated to that program. It's also got a list of all of the events that have been run since 2013, which is pretty amazing. So you can see what's happened before. There's more recently, in sort of past 3 or 4 years, we've been doing a lot more to document those as well. So you can go back and watch videos or read blogs or whatever. So there's a lot of content that we've generated through that as well. But anyone can sign up to that list and find out about what's going on.
So at the risk of you blowing your own trumpet for this lovely event today, Jonathan, do you think networking events are worth it?
I am not sure is my honest answer. Having been along to different types of networking events, I mentioned earlier, Creative Circles is a really good networking event, which is put on by Creative Edinburgh, and I have had a lot of opportunities come out of that. I think the dynamic of it is really helpful in that it's very relaxed and people have the opportunity literally just to wander up in person to other people who they might want to collaborate with. So that's certainly been very good. I have been to kind of one speed dating networking type event, which was artists and scientists getting together. For me, there wasn't any particular outcome from that. It was interesting, that was an outcome, but in terms of any projects which then kind of stemmed out of it, and I have to admit I didn't chase it myself, but I was perhaps a little bit put off by own experience of trying to work with scientists and professors in that they don't tend to get back to you, or they haven't got back to me unless there has been a nice clear outcome. So I'm interested to hear more, and I have asked, and Jim and perhaps other people who are involved in organizations who do these kind of speed dating events, I'd really like to hear whenever it is possible for them to actually try and collate some information and data as to what the number of outcomes are resulting from these. Does it have to be a case that scientists and artists have a planned outcome at the end of it for it to result in that? Or is it just enough to put people in touch and then hope that they'll find funding and they'll find an event to be part of or find a venue to display their work? I know there have been some other organizations like Fusion Art. We've got a member in the audience who, yeah, they do actually put artists and scientists together to collaborate on things with an outcome kind of exhibits that they organize. So I know it can be done, but I am very interested to hear from organizations themselves what the success rate is or how they evaluate that.